The miracle worker, it's taken him
The miracle worker.
6 months.
Yeah, that's so close to, yeah.
Yeah, 6 months. And we're beginning to see the miracles. 8 wins on the bounce, 1 loss in their last 17 games. Looks like the picture is all coming together now.
So you believe me? I mean, this is just a clear case of a prophet not being regarded in his own country. I'm telling you, we are going back to scripture. This is a case of a prophet not being regarded in his own country. When I came declaring and proclaiming that this is somebody who was a miracle worker, could turn water into wine, people were all over the place. I mean, he decided to call me the miracle worker. But I think that, in all honesty, Ten Hag has done a tremendous job at Manchester United. I do not so much attribute most of the things he's done down to just the result. I look at attitude, I look at the culture, I look at the players he has improved. Those are the results are the least of my hallmarks when it comes to a job that a player walks in and does, especially when he's a new manager. I look at his signings, have they been on point? I look at the conditions around the club, the feel good factor around the club, the connection between the supporters and the playing body. This one thing that most football fans fail to recognize, that for any club that is successful, there needs to be a conscious connection between players and fans. You understand? Because there's that old cliche that players are always the 12th men. Supporters, sorry, they are always the 12th men. They are always the guys who urge the players on to go on and attain greatness anytime on the pitch. But you look at all of these prevailing circumstances. I think that Ten Hag has done a tremendous job. I mean, I don't want to sound overly poetic, but if you look at his signings, look at Casemiro, look at Lisandro Martinez, look at Tyler Malacia, look at Ericsson, look at I think there's one other player that's who? Yes, but Anthony, yes, I mean Anthony has been 50-50, but I look at the players he's been able to improve. Look at Rashford. We're speaking of about the impact that he's made regards the backroom staff. I mean, getting Benny McCarthy on board. See, a good coach is one who is able to delegate and find the right personnel to handle the key elements in the various departments when it comes to projecting the club holistically. And I think that getting Benny McCarthy on board, looking at the job he's done on Rashford particularly, even Wan Bissaka looks a transformed player under Eric Ten Hag. So there's no denying the fact that I am fully convinced that Manchester United are moving in the right direction under Eric Ten Hag. Now they are playing fanciful football. You know, when Manchester United decided to employ a coach, there were three main attributes that they looked at. They needed somebody who would guarantee a clear playing style. They needed somebody who could finally break that dark about not winning trophies. Then they needed somebody who would promote the youth. Yesterday in the game against Charlton Athletic, you realize that he promoted two youngsters. I mean, yes, we've seen Garnacho in the team a couple of times, but there was Kobe Menu in there. There was Zidane on the bench. He is 19. There are a couple of other youngsters on the bench. And for me, I think that, I mean, these are good times to be a Manchester United fan.
Lucky, for all of the excitement, all of the joy, not too long ago, they visited their neighbors at the Etihad, and there was a game. Anthony announced his presence, but Erling Haaland also made his mark on this team. Another clash becomes this weekend. They've won consistently. They found a way to navigate past opponents, but the real test, people say, is this weekend against City. I look at Eric Ten Hag, I look at what Manchester United are doing, and you look at Casemiro and that influence in the middle. You look at Ericsson, he seems to now be at home, assisting, contributing. Casemiro is also now adding attacking contributions, which hitherto wasn't known or wasn't a prominent part of his game. They come up against this City side who have always found a way to discipline Manchester United. Will United navigate past this test easily, or you feel this is where it all comes down. The honeymoon ends, and another rebuilding takes place.
Um, I don't want to, I think a couple of days ago, myself, Kofi, and Kofi Mesa were having this discussion on our way back home. I think that, I mean, if anyone who would disregard the impact of Ten Hag would be doing a lot of this disservice to Manchester United. He's had tremendous impact on Manchester United, and he said last year, early part of last year, he came, calling him the miracle worker. I think that if he's going to do miracles, he should win something. That's when I will raise my hands and say, yes, indeed, this man is a miracle worker. But for now, he's doing an amazing job. We need to commend him for the shift he's putting in transforming Manchester United. I'm not of the school of thought that if you look at these 8 games United have played, they've not really played any of the top 6 or opponents in quote are A-list opponents, Charlton, Everton, uh, Burnley, these are. But in time past, United struggled against this team. But look at the ease with which Manchester United have disposed of this team. I mean, you made mention of Everton. Everton drew with City. This is the same Everton that Manchester United dispatched with ease, and they're scoring a lot of goals. In the last 5 games, they've scored 15 goals. They are averaging 3 goals per game. It's incredible. You can say all you want to say, the opponent and everything, but for me, if you're able to meet these small teams and you cut them to size, it tells you of your quality. We hail City because City are one of the few teams who, even if they are 5 goals up, they'll still want to cut you to size so that you know your level. So for me, United they are on a certain trajectory. They are on a nice run of form. I think that, like I said, I'll raise my hands and finally congratulate Ten Hag when these form or this result have culminated into something at the end of the year. Only at some point 20 games unbeaten, but in the end we sacked him because United wanted something that had eluded them. He lost the fight. He lost the UEFA Cup final. He placed second and all of that. So let's see the trajectory they are on. Let's see if they're able to, because the Carabao Cup for me it's very winnable. The next game they're playing that Nottingham Forest or
The job.
yeah. But they are likely to play hopefully Nottingham Forest or Wolves,
Yeah,
and then
hopefully.
City can pay. So, but there's a tendency that these two sides will end up in the final because obviously City will beat Southampton today.
There could be the Manchester Derby in the semi-final.
There is. So for me, let them ride that hurdle, get their hands on something, and we can finally praise them. But if you look at this game, the first game, as much as the result looked very close, the game itself wasn't close. City dominated it. Yes, United, the result, if you didn't watch the game, you probably think that, wow, this was a close game, but it wasn't. It was nowhere near close. City dominated on every aspect of the game. How would Manchester United be able to translate the form they are on to stop City? City are one of those teams that are very unpredictable. I've heard Pep Guardiola says that he's going to deploy a ridiculous, his own word, ridiculous. This man shouldn't go tinkering again. I mean, that has been his bane or his Achilles heel over the past few years. But I think it's going to be a great game. The team that would ensure the grip in the midfield is a team that is likely to win this game. Casemiro is not doing anything new. This is Casemiro. On any given day, he is, if not the best, one of the best, central midfielders in the world. He's doing what he's been doing. How would they be able to stop the likes of, Rodri from, having their field day, playing those passes, trying to link up? How would they be able to stop Kevin De Bruyne? I watched City in their game against Chelsea, and the switch in movement of the front three was ridiculous. You don't know who to mark. Today, Riyad Mahrez is on the left. The next time you see him, he's on the right, playing through centrally. Likewise, Bernardo Silva free folding. So it made it very difficult for you to man mark. What they were trying to do was shift the opponent and try to create space, because the more you move, the more you shift the opponent's defense and the more you create spaces. It was the reason why they cut Chelsea to size with ease. Can they do same with this Manchester United defense? I think that's going to be an interesting game. For me, I'm looking forward to Saturday 12:30. Ironically, it's the first game, and the game would have a huge impact on the league log. If United win, they literally cement the third position and close the gap between themselves and City. They also, don't forget, they have a game in hand as well. If City win, they close the gap between themselves and Arsenal. Judging from what might happen between Arsenal and Spurs, it could go anyway. So this game would have a huge impact on the top four. And for me, it's I honestly, this is one of the very few times I cannot predict a Manchester derby. As much as City have had some rosy times playing United in the last 5 seasons, yes, United have gotten some wins here and there, but this game is unpredictable because of how good United have been. They've been a very well organized side, and let's not forget Marcus Rashford. The form he's been on in how many games now?
Eight,
He,
seven,
he
eight.
scored 6 in about just 4 games, 6-7 goals, and for me it's tremendous. So the City defense should watch out, because I'm yet to even see a concrete City partner, a defensive partnership. Today is Rodri, today is Diaz, the next day is Laporte, is Ake, is Akanji. Pep Guardiola has not sorted out his central defensive pairing. And if you're a team coming up against them, you would fancy your chances, especially with the pace of Rashford, the trickery of Anthony, and we don't know who the front three will be, but it's going to be an interesting game, Dave.
Finally, before we touch on the North London derby, in this particular game, one of the areas that Eric Ten Hag aired was that midfield combination. There was a debate as to whether Scott should have started or Casemiro should have been included in that starting 11. What combination does he stick with this time? Because it was key into City's dominance. Scott McTominay Ericsson started on that day together with Bruno Fernandes, and it was a horror show.
Well, I think that we need to put this conversation in context. I mean, the time the game was played was just about the time Casemiro was settling in, obviously. So you wouldn't want to throw him in the deep end.
There was the argument he's played in the El Clasico, bigger games.
Yes, I agree. But when a player moves from another country to another country or another jurisdiction to another jurisdiction, there's the element of the cultural shock, irrespective of how big a player you are. So you need to acclimatize. You need time for adaptation, and I think that was the adaptive time of Casemiro. Now he knows the in and out. He knows the tempo invariably. I think that this is a game, like you said, I would want to see how daring Ten Hag will be. Because, listen, City would play with only one DM. They play with Rodri. The only difference is that whoever they play with, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, the only difference is that these boys work hard. They work hard when they are out of possession. So the type of system City deploys, it's not really about who shells the defense. It's a collective unit. They hound together in packs. You understand? When they lose the ball, the way they press together. You understand? So it looks like, okay, Rodri is doing a lot of work. Invariably, it's down to all of the elements in the, even from the front. Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, whoever plays, they hound together. So that has to be the trademark. I think that if Ten Hag is daring enough, you do not need to be defensive against City. You understand? Listen, because City has become the standard, whether you like it or yes, City has become the standard. And if you have dreams of winning the EPL, if you have dreams of being the best on the land, these are games that you need to measure your true mettle against the very best. Because for me, I'm sitting here, I'm a Manchester United fan. I hate to admit it, but in the last few 5-6 years, City have become the SI unit. So listen, if you can go toe to toe with City and beat them by their own game or at their own game, the kind of confidence that will run through the squad for the remainder of the games. So I think that Eric Ten Hag just needs to be true to his principles. I mean, don't sit back. I never known him to be a coward. So if you ask me which midfield combination you go with, I'd go with the traditional three you have been playing all this while. Go with Eriksen, go with Bruno Fernandes, go with Casemiro. Let's see how they slug it out against Rodri. Let's see how they slug it out against Kevin De Bruyne. Let's see how they slug it out against Bernardo Silva if he does play.
But the league leaders, Arsenal, they look to be enjoying purple patch, and they have their neighbours coming by quickly. would Arsenal walk over them? Because it looks as though nobody can pull the plugs or pull the brakes on Arsenal.
But it looks like Newcastle did it in their last, Premier League game.
Newcastle were actually lucky.
It's not about Newcastle being lucky. They came with a game plan because if you looked at how Newcastle's Eddie Howe set his team up, he didn't actually come to win. He knew if he opened up, and that's not Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe is very attacking minded, but in that game they were very, very defensive, and like Kofi said, they pressed from the front. The likes of Miguel Almiron and all, they pressed very well, and in that game, I saw something. Arsenal are very vulnerable. If you have a team that's very solid in defense, Arsenal will struggle. Arsenal will struggle. Let me reiterate: a team that has a very solid defensive shape. However you deploy your men, they can stand their ground like Newcastle did. Arsenal will struggle because somebody like Martinelli, his only greatest asset is his pace, running down by the line and trying to locate somebody in the box. And you saw the work that the Trippier did on him. Excellent job. They do not have Gabriel Jesus, who is one of those hard-working midfielders who try to create attackers who try to create space. They do not have that. Nketiah is a proper number 9, very, very effective in the box. Since Gabriel Jesus left, he's been very, very good. I'm very certain they will start. The problem is not so much with Arsenal, it's with Spurs. Their inconsistency for me is annoying. And for a team that has so much quality, you do not sit here and tell me Song, Kane, name them, Kulichevsky, Højbjerg, the guy who came from Brighton, the African, what's his Bissouma. These guys are not good. You have a World Cup winning goalkeeper. Yet Spurs consistently disappoint because, and for me, Spurs' attitude is down to the coach because what you see on the pitch is a reflection of whatever the manager tells them. I mean, you do not. How many times have Spurs gone down 2 goals, falling 2 goals behind, and tried to claw their way back? For how many times can they do that? It's like I said, it's not so much of what Arsenal will do. It's about the game would be very interesting if Spurs decide to make it interesting. If Spurs decide to be Spurs we've seen in the last 3-4 games, Arsenal will run riot over them. Because one, they beat them in the first game. They have a lot of confidence going into this game. At the back of their minds, we are the league leaders. We've not lost in a long while. They've only lost just once the entire season. So for us now, they are okay. The problem is, okay, how do we ensure we unlock this, what is it called? Spurs team. I do not get why he's stuck in this 3-5-2 formation. Try to play what is called wing backs when you don't necessarily need wing backs. Perisic is a proper number 7. Let him do his job. Don't let him come back and try to defend. Release, Kulichevsky. Release Song. Release Kane. Let them do what they know how to do. There's a bit of defensive mindset and approach to this Spurs side that is not allowing us see the quality in this Tottenham Hotspur team. But it's going to be an interesting game. I'm expecting that. It may come. This prediction may come as a surprise, but I think that Spurs will win this. They are playing at the Tottenham Stadium, so I think that factor would come into play, and Spurs will nick this.
Well, I think that for a long time I have to agree with everything that Lucky has said. I think that like he said, I'm choosing his words. It's annoying watching Spurs play sometimes. I'm very annoying because for a team that has so much quality, you almost think that why are they always cowering down into submission? Why is it that they go into games with that defensive mindset? And for me, when I watch games, I look at the body languages of players. It looks like Son looks a bit disinterested, Kane looks a bit unconcerned, because they know the talent that runs through the team. And I've told people in private, if you gave this team to Pochettino, he would work magic with this team, because Spurs is one of the few teams in the EPL that I can tell you can almost match any other team in the EPL, quality for quality, in every position imaginable. So I think that, I mean, like you said, this game will be interesting based on which Spurs team turns up. if the A team Spurs turns up, they will beat Arsenal easily. They will beat Arsenal easily because a lot of people have not exploited it. You understand? But if you are coming up against world-class opposition like Harry Kane, if you are coming up against Heung-min Song, these are guys who can exploit that momentary loss in concentration, and those are areas that I expect Spurs to attack and Arsenal very well. Take the game to Arsenal because for crying out loud, they will be playing at the Tottenham Stadium. The fans will be backing them. Look, if they are not careful, they might not play in top four because this is how competitive the league has become. There is the emergence of Newcastle who don't look like backing down. There is the emergence of Manchester United. Even if you look down the table, there is the renaissance of Liverpool. You understand? And with Liverpool, how many days will they continue to have Nunes going on bad runs? Eventually, he will turn the corner. Eventually, some of the signings they've made, Diaz will come back. They will be stronger. Gapo will find his feet. They will be stronger. So, if you do not start building that run from this point, you're definitely going to be in trouble. And for me, I think that Conte needs not to be a coward. I am very disappointed in Conte and his tenure at Spurs this far because this is a manager who walked into the league with a lot of promise. Exactly. I mean, come on. I mean, you look at Conte and his tenure at Spurs. I think that he's underutilizing the potential of this Spurs team, and it's high time somebody probably lit fire somewhere. Yeah, I mean, on his belly somewhere. I mean, put it in his head. If he has any hair left, I mean, let him wake up to the reality.
But this weekend we have Derby, and we'll definitely be back on Sunday after all is said and done. But this is Sports 101 coming to you live at Calendar's event, bar and lunch located on 18 Rivet Lane, Harbour area. Do make it your party venue.
Nice place.
It's a very nice place. You can see from the ambience in the video, it's an exciting place. It's very nice when you come here in the evenings as well. So if you're party type, the nightlife king, this is the place.